In an ever-evolving digital landscape, for your business to thrive, you must adapt or die. Welcome to Marketing in the Age of AI, the podcast helping you harness the power of AI and marketing tools to revitalize and grow your business. And now here's your host, marketing expert and author of Authentic Marketing in the Age of AI, Emmanuel Rose.
Well, welcome to this episode of Marketing in the Age of AI. Today, we're going to dig into one of my favorite topics, which is how taking a position on topics in the industry or telling your story or other stories is a critical piece of brand building and expert creation. And that's by writing books and publishing books and then promoting books. And it's been a critical change in my career. In 2023, I published Marketing in the Age of AI, and that was the second book in my marketing series. The first one was around 2020 when I published the book about marketing to Generation Z, and that really changed the trajectory of both my position in the marketing industry and also my company, Strategic Marketing. So today we are going to dig into book writing and book marketing, and I have a special guest today. Her name is Danielle Hutchinson, and she's the Chief Creative Officer at Authors on a Mission. Danielle has leveraged her expertise to help over 1,100 entrepreneurs and thought leaders transform their ideas into #1 best-selling books. Danielle, thanks so much for spending some time with me today.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited for a fun conversation.
Well, that's great. Let's see. Where in the world are you? Let's start out with that.
I'm located in New Jersey.
All right. Yeah, I'm on the West Coast. And I'm curious what drew you into the publishing industry?
Yeah, well, I started out as a teacher, just working with kids in language arts and preschool too, actually. And, I love helping people express themselves better, but I just wanted more control over my time, my income. And of course, I love reading and writing. So I just decided to freelance on the side while still teaching. And I remember, everything started off very small, just beta reading a book for $20 a pop, or, just actually sometimes people even pay to leave reviews on Amazon, that sort of thing. Very small little tasks. But then I got my first gig ghostwriting a romance book. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, I of course I love that. It was just like a very interesting project because the client just couldn't get their ideas down on paper in a way that made sense. So I realized I had a gift for taking their thoughts and turning it into something that readers could actually connect with. And I just kept scaling and scaling. And here I am now. I realized I was making much more money writing than teaching and happier doing it. So I am still teaching, but in the transition for taking that leap and leaving it behind and going all in on it because it's exactly what I love doing. And here we are now. And I get to talk to amazing people like you every day.
Yeah. No, that is, it's a good transition. And I guess when you were growing up, did you picture yourself as a writer or did you picture yourself as a teacher?
It's funny, a little bit of both. My original dream was to be a writer. I was always writing in my diaries, but realism hit. My parents told me, you know what, you have to get a steady job, be a teacher. And so that's how that all happened. I don't regret it, but fortunately everything just kind of came around in the end the way I would have wished as a child. So
that's cool.
yeah.
It's not always a straight path, is it?
Never it is, right?
Well, in the work that you're doing with Authors on Mission, do you prefer to do those kind of fantasy books, or romance books, or business books, or do you like kind of digging into all the different projects?
Yeah, well, I did start off doing the romance books, but as I began to scale, I realized a lot more people these days, the demand is for those nonfiction books, the self-help, the business
Right.
books, the technology books, AI-related books, of course.
Yep.
So that's where most of my demand comes in. Whether I enjoy it more than romance, probably not. It's always more fun to write the fiction ones where you have more creativity. But on the other hand, I did learn a ton by focusing on nonfiction, things I would have never imagined finding myself writing about or reading about or researching, because every client has their own topic in mind, their own messages. And just being a teacher, I had no idea about a lot of this stuff, like government policies and healthcare terms. But as I began to get more clients, I learned these things, and then it helped me carry that knowledge on to the next client. So it's just a lot of fun to learn all these new topics and expand my reach. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's interesting too how projects do cascade on each other. And it's like you take little bits from here and there, and then you kind of create your own black box process, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that we hear from the big motivational speakers is everybody's got a story, and everybody, your story is important to the world. And I'm just curious, have you found somebody who brought a project to you where you're like, this is terrible, and I don't think they should be doing it?
I don't think so, to be honest. I think
All
that
right.
everybody does, have an idea for something to say, even if it's, I always say to my clients, even if you live the most boring life, you're still living. There's something that you've done, and other people can learn from it one way or another. The big thing you need to do is frame it in a way that other people would be interested and can take value from it. So yeah, my process really just begins with talking to somebody, getting to know what they're all about, and then finding out, okay, what from that is marketable, what is trending out there right now here in 2025. How can we turn this into something other people would be interested in? And that being said, it's that's how you grow. That's how you take somebody who might not have an idea to a full-fledged book. That being said, I have received many manuscripts people dabbled at themselves and need just a ton of editing work. So in that regard, they do need a lot of help with that sort of thing for the most part too.
Yeah, I think that's that's the area that is the weakest for me. Like I have an editor that is very good because I'm not, I don't have good English structure. So I tend to just kind of ready, fire, aim as I'm writing a manuscript, and then have it get cleaned up both by the editor and then also by the designer. Is there a cleaner process that you've put together than that, or what do you recommend for your clients?
In terms of going from ideas to editing?
Yeah.
So a lot of times I do ghostwriting. I also do editing. So if somebody does hand me a manuscript, I give them a full evaluation first to figure out what exactly it is they might need. For example, your process might need a lot of developmental work in addition to line edits and proofreading, being that you're just throwing your ideas on paper and handing it over to your editor. I think that's a perfectly fine process. Too many people actually focus on editing while they're writing, which leads to you never finishing your book because you're too focused on that perfectionism. So you're getting the ideas out there, which is a great process. But I mean, yeah, everybody's manuscript does need something different. So yours might need a lot, other people's might not. It does depend. So.
All right. Well, here I'm going to ask you a little bit of a piercing question, but are you working on a book of your own right now?
I really, really want to. I've been putting it on my schedule forever, and I don't always take my own advice. Everyone's saying just right, but to be honest, now that it's summertime, I do have it on my schedule for this week. So we'll see. I would love to write some books about what I do. Write what you know is what everyone always says. And I know best about, for example, best practices, especially with, AI implementation. It's such a huge topic right now. Now is the time to write about it before it gets too oversaturated with it. So there's so many different topics out there. It's on my schedule. It's going to come.
No, I totally get it. We have the same issue inside the agency where I have websites that are out of date and need to get worked on, and we just never quite get to it. So that's totally understandable. I guess, is there some kind of a framework that you have for people listening today for how they get started and the beginning process to getting a book created in their mind and then started to do the work?
I would say the first thing to do would be to begin jotting down ideas. Just keep a notepad handy or even just the notes app in your phone. And anytime something sparks your interest, start writing it down. Even I've gotten into the process of it. If I'm watching a TV show, I say, that's a really cool concept that just happened. I just jot it down in a notebook. Then, as soon as you have the time and you're able to, first off, you have to schedule it out. Don't follow my method. Go ahead and put it on your calendar. From this time to this time, I'm going to sit down and start writing, and then stick to that. So once you have that time, you sit down, you have all of your notes of ideas. The good thing you can do these days is throw those ideas into AI. Say, hey, these are some ideas I have. What are some possible themes of my book? How can I potentially structure it? Use that as a guide to help you framework what you might be looking for. Now, don't use it to write your whole manuscript, though. I've seen so many people these days come to me with their AI written manuscripts, and they say, I wrote this. Can you edit it for me? And I'm just like, okay, so you really use Delve in your everyday conversations and a vast tapestry of knowledge that AI loves to throw in there. So yeah, it's a great tool to take those ideas and turn it into a manuscript. Don't necessarily use it to make an entire manuscript yourself, but use it to generate and make that framework. And of course, we're probably going to come around some roadblocks. That's when you reach out to companies like Authors on Mission or editors and beta readers, and you need to get a second opinion on it. Even if you think it's perfect, you always need a little bit of help. So whether it be with editing or ghostwriting, helping you turn those ideas into the actual pages is a whole other step that you can take to.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea, right? Or a person could bring a manuscript to a certain completion level and then have you ghostwrite it to kind of finish it out for them.
Yeah. I work with the clients, and there's many different methods that I use to work with my clients. Some people like to have the one-on-one conversations every week where we chat about each chapter. We go over the previous chapter, and we, just talk about their stories that they want to include in there. That's a great method because it allows me to get a good idea of their voice, and I hear in their tone exactly what they're excited about for that chapter. And it really helps me to emulate that when I write the draft. That being said, other clients do just send me some notes for a chapter. Maybe they AI generate their chapter, and then I kind of rewrite it from there based on how I talk about it. But yeah, there's many different methods. So certainly you can just jot those ideas down, and we could work together to turn it into a fully fledged, well-structured chapter that targets your readers in a way that's going to be successful.
I love that. And then how are you using ChatGPT or something similar in the work that you're doing?
So again, idea generation is a great way to go. There have been times where if I don't know a topic, I mentioned before, I had no idea going in about a lot of these nonfiction topics out there. It helps me to do a little bit of research for that. Like, what is this term? How can I explain it in an easy way for the book? Making it accessible for the audience is a whole nother thing. So that is exactly what I do. But again, not for actually writing the book. So many problems with that. But just using it as a tool and really leveraging it for your advantage, because it's out there these days. You can't ignore it, and it is a huge help. Adding in citations, for example, too. Once I find that paper that explains the topic that I just mentioned, easy peasy, just throw it in chat. What's the APA citation for this? Helps you out. I remember when I was a kid, we had to go through and find the publication date and the publisher and the author's name, but now it's just easy to format it and throw it in instead of spending that time. So it eases the process for sure.
I love that. I guess let's shift a little bit and say, what are you seeing that's working in terms of selling a book once it's complete on the marketing side?
So what I've seen is that you need to target your audience from the get-go. Knowing exactly who you're reaching out to in the planning stages definitely helps with marketing, because then you're framing the book right from the start with those pain points that the reader's looking for, and then that draws them in, right away. They want to get their problem solved, and then that's what gets them to finish reading the book. One thing that I've also been noticing is really good with marketing is making sure that your content can be used and reused across different platforms. So from the outlining stages, thinking about how every chapter can be repurposed to later become one of your YouTube videos or a social media post. One of my clients and I right now, as I'm writing every chapter with him, we're making a separate document of quotes from the book that he wants to turn into, graphics for his Instagram. And it's making sure you can repurpose it. Same thing could be done for your future TED Talks or public speaking events. And that way you're creating just a bank of different knowledge and tips and tricks that you can repurpose. And that's how you better market yourself, because by having your name out there, the more it's out there these days, that's what gets your book known. Especially now that Google has the AI answering system, the more that your name's out there, the more likely if somebody's type in a question, they find your TED Talk on the topic or the YouTube book, and that leads them to your actual book. So lots of different ways to get it out there. But I think the more you get your name in the algorithm, that's how you pop up better.
Yeah, oh, that's great. And then how do you see that these kind of podcast interviews are fitting into book marketing?
Yeah, as a podcast host myself, we have tons of people popping on, yourself included, talking about their books. And I think it's definitely useful. Not only do you get to talk, on my show at least, we talk about writing tips in addition to the book itself. But yeah, the more that's just another way to get your book out there and get your name down. And whether or not you get a ton of viewers on the podcast that you go to, you're still having that name in the algorithm. It's something types up your name. It adds credibility to you as well. You're out there speaking about your topic. You're a real person. It adds a little bit of genuine interest into yourself in addition to the book. So many different benefits for sure.
Well, we got an idea how to get started and how to market the book. Anything else that somebody should be thinking about if they're going to write their first book with the help of you?
Yeah, I think that you need to pick the right person. A lot of people can hop right on to one of those freelancing websites, and you could probably find somebody for $100 to write your book. But is that person fluent in English? Is that person able to structure your book in a way that's going to be successful? Are they going to just run it through an AI generator and hand it back to you? So finding somebody who has the skill set, who has the experience, but also understands your vision. I've actually had clients that I've referred to somebody else just because, I think this person relates to your topic and your mission a little bit more than me. They can help you a little bit better, so finding somebody who really aligns with you. I've heard horror stories on my own podcast of people who find their ghostwriter or their editor and they just collide on different things, like arguing about, sentence placement based on whatever it might be. But yeah, you got to find somebody who works with you. So definitely keep that in mind.
All right. And then how about clients of yours who, once they publish their book, have had really interesting successes from the book as the way into the success?
Yeah, absolutely. I've had multiple clients who I've worked with, and we kind of guarantee the best-selling Amazon status here through Authors on Mission. And not only that, but we help you secure those TED Talk interviews and podcast interviews. So in terms of success, there's many different stories like that. One of my favorites is this one woman who she actually was battling cancer, and she lived in Australia, I believe it was, if I'm not mistaken. And she had to travel to the States just to get her treatments. And it was a whole amazing journey. But she's one of my favorite success stories because I helped her get her book out there. And well, now other people can kind of see this process she went to navigate that medical system to get there. So that's just one example of them. But the more stories you get out there, not only helping that specific client, but also others who hear those tips. So many different ways. Yeah.
I love it. Well, if somebody wants to work with you, what's the process to get in touch?
You got to head to authorsonmission.com. It's Authors on a Mission, no A. So just head on over, book a consultation, and we'll chat with you to figure out what the best method would be for your journey in your book.
All right. Well, thank you, Danielle, so much for spending some time with me today. I appreciate it.
Of course, it's a ton of fun. I'm always happy to talk with you and chat about the book writing process.
All right. Well, I hope you have a great week.
You too. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks. Bye. Well, if you're sitting on an idea, which most of us have, about the book we've always wanted to write, I think there's some great great thoughts here, which is just start taking notes, start jotting things down, keep it in a centralized place, and then reach out to somebody like Danielle to get some help forming the structure and the chapters, and get on a schedule of writing, because it will change your professional trajectory, and it will also put you in the rare category of somebody who thought of a book topic and then executed the book topic. I hope you found value in this today, and my hope for you is that you take some time to find an AI tool and start testing that, so you can get some of your time back. And with that time, you'll spend it with your friends and your family, or get outside into the great outdoors and spend some time away from the screens. This is Emmanuel Rose, Marketing in the Age of AI.
Thanks for listening to Marketing in the Age of AI. Be sure to subscribe wherever you heard this podcast so you never miss a future episode. Your copy of Authentic Marketing in the Age of AI is available at Amazon.com or EmmanuelRose.com. You can also connect with Emmanuel on LinkedIn.